Welcome back to Ask the Mayor. We're sitting here along with Kelowna Mayor Colin Basran, and now we're going to talk a little bit about this citizen survey which came out, and it appears that Kelowna residents are fairly happy. In February 2015, Ipsos Reid conducted a telephone survey, randomly selected Kelowna residents 18 years and older on behalf of the City of Kelowna. Your thoughts on those results, and some of them we can see them on behind us here.
Sure, yeah, I know that you're going to get into some of the more specifics of the survey, but overall, as am I, most people are generally satisfied with life in Kelowna. Now, does that mean though that there's no work to be done? That's not the case. We know that we can always be better, and so like I say, there certainly are areas for improvement, and Kelowna City Council is not going to rest on its laurels and say that everything is fine. Everything's not fine, but I think that generally people are happy with what's taking place in the community. But it's not without its challenges, so we may as well dive right into those.
Okay, well, first of all, why do you think they're happy? I mean, it's a nice place to live. We got nice weather, right? We got good connections to the cities and that kind of thing.
Well, I think you've talked about some of them. I think that we have certainly geography going for us in the beautiful landscape we've been given. But I think that when you look at, there are any number of reasons why people are choosing to call Kelowna home or to stay here. Some of it is employment opportunities. Some of it is educational opportunities. We have two world-renowned post-secondary institutions in UBC Okanagan and Okanagan College. So we have people who are always moving here to attend classes here. So there's, of course, the retirement element as well. Although the average age of the residents of Kelowna is dropping, not drastically, but it is coming down over time, which means that we're seeing more young people and young families move here than we've ever seen before. They're all positive indicators, and like I talked about, we are now one of the fastest growing areas in Canada, and there are a number of reasons why that's taking place, and I think it speaks to all of the great things we have happening in our city.
Okay, let's talk about the challenges now.
Sure,
and one of the big ones is, and it comes with growth, is transportation. And a lot of citizens may be in their car and they hit a pothole, or they're tired of waiting at the traffic light or whatever. Yeah. You guys probably hear a lot about that.
We do, absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about the things you guys are hearing and sort of the plans that maybe you have to fix that.
Yeah, so transportation certainly was an issue that has come up consistently with our residents in terms of concerns that they have in our municipality. And so we're doing a few things to address that, but this council is investing in what we would call a balanced transportation network. So in the past, rightly or wrongly, there has always been the emphasis to build more roads. Build more roads, build more roads.
And traffic lights.
And traffic lights. But it has been statistically proven, so this isn't just anecdotally, but it has been statistically proven that building more roads does not help get cars off the road. In fact, it encourages people to drive more. That's statistically valid. Yeah. And so this council would like to do the opposite. We would like to try and get cars off the road, and how we do that is investing in a balanced transportation network. So yes, that means still building the occasional road where it's deemed necessary. And for example, we will begin construction later on this year on John Hindle Drive, which will connect Glenmore to UBC Okanagan. And that's a connection that has been long anticipated, much needed in our community for a really long time. But we're also going to continue to invest in things like active transportation corridors. So you've seen our investment to help purchase the CN Rail corridor, for example, or on Ethel Street. You've seen phase 1 now completed of our active transportation corridor along Ethel Street, which will be the north-south connection to connect downtown to Okanagan College. So you're going to see more investment in active transportation, in our sidewalk network to get people walking more, and then of course you're going to see more and continued investment in our transit system. So we believe by investing in those three things together, we'll create a more balanced transportation network, and will hopefully encourage some of the people who are stuck in traffic and who wish they weren't, to give them more viable options to get around our community than just the automobile. And I know that that doesn't sit well with everyone, but we believe, council believes that it is the right thing to do for a number of different reasons. Getting people out of their automobiles, most people are aware of, but just the positive spin-offs are enormous environmentally, even economically. It's been proven that people, particularly in town centers, who ride their bike are more apt to stop, go shopping, pick up a thing or two, so it's proven that people who ride their bikes actually spend more than people who travel in an automobile. So there are a number of different positive spin-offs that we see by investing in transit as well as active transportation corridors that hopefully will lessen the traffic issue. And I mean, let's just use an example of the rapid bus system that we have in our community, which has seen a huge uptake by students in our city. Just imagine those full buses if we didn't have that rapid bus system. All of those students would be in single occupancy vehicles, further clogging up our roads. So anyone who doesn't see the positives in terms of investment in transit really needs to think about what the alternative is if we don't have it, and how many more people are in those single occupancy vehicles clogging up our roads even more. Yeah. So we really want to see further investment in, like I say, active transportation and transit. And then when you factor in, and I think we're going to discuss it a little bit later, transit down the road, when you consider things like Uber and car share. So technology, I am in favor of Uber, yeah. But I do sympathize though with our taxi drivers in the sense that it should be a level playing field. So Uber shouldn't be allowed to do things that our taxi drivers aren't allowed to do. Right. And so this is not something that's regulated by the City of Kelowna. This is something that's regulated by our provincial government, and I know our provincial government is looking into it. But transit is going to evolve as technology does. So ride-sharing systems like Uber and car share, I think, are also going to be great things that will help lessen the congestion on our roads.
Let's talk a little bit about getting cars through the city, because that's been a big bone of contention for a lot of people, and there isn't a single overpass on this side of the lake between the bridge and the flyover at UBCO. Is there any thought to the city of putting in a few overpasses, for example, at Gordon, at Spall, maybe Leithhead, for example? I know it's difficult, there's costs involved, you have to work with the province, but is there any kind of plan to smooth along that traffic without so many lights?
Sure, so there actually is a plan right now, and we always, as City Council, we like it when other levels of government pay for things. So sure. There actually is a study being undertaken right now by the provincial government to discuss exactly that. So it's looking at the feasibility of a second crossing across Okanagan Lake, but not only that, it's looking at how do we move traffic through Kelowna. So we have a provincial government that's spending a significant amount of money on this study to answer that very question. So we'll have a better sense of whether overpasses are needed and if that's the route to go, or if it's through an alternate route through town that has few or none at all traffic lights to stop the flow. Yeah. So that's being looked at as we speak, and I believe that those results will be unveiled either later this year or early next year, and so we'll have a clearer picture on how that all looks and how the future of getting through Kelowna will look. The one surprising thing for myself and council was in terms of stats, and I was actually floored when it comes to looking at the traffic already using our current bridge and commuting through town. Only 4% of that traffic is wanting to get through town to go to another destination. Yeah. So that means 96% of the traffic is local, either from West Kelowna or Peachland, coming into Kelowna for work or whatever the reason may be. Yeah, but only 4% of the traffic is wanting to bypass Kelowna and just get through town on their way to another destination. Yeah. So it really gets you thinking in terms of, okay, well, if a bypass is going to be built, is that the best option when realistically at this point only 4% of the traffic would actually use it? Yeah. So that's one of the things that's that the provincial government will be looking at is where's the traffic coming from, what are they using the bridge or getting through town for, and what is the best way to alleviate some of the issues. So we'll have a clearer picture in the coming year, and whether that includes overpasses or another alternate route will be determined at that time.
Would that alternate route be right out here on Clement Avenue, following along the old railroad tracks?
Possibly, that would be certainly one consideration. However, it's still too early to determine at this point. But I mean, early indications are yes, that if you were to relocate relocate a bridge a second bridge along Okanagan or across Okanagan Lake, it would probably be close to town for the reason I just stated, that 96% of the traffic is using it to get in and out of town as opposed to through town.
And they would use that alternate route, of course.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
So stay tuned on that. We'll have more information in the coming year.
And let's just touch on that again. Looking ahead 10, 20 years, that's obviously one of the things that you see for transportation. Is there anything else in there that you...
Well, my dream, maybe it's a bit too far into the future, but I still envision, I would love to see some sort of rapid light rail or rapid transit along our rail corridor, which I talked about. So the City of Kelowna, along with Lake Country and the Regional District of the North Okanagan, have purchased the abandoned CN rail line, which we envision as being an active transportation corridor. But the right-of-way is large enough for some type of mass transit, whether it be rapid bus or perhaps light rail. But it would always be my vision to see light rail travel from Vernon through the Okanagan to Penticton. I think that would be an incredible way to, as the entire valley grows, to be able to move people around again without them having to be in an automobile. But it also depends too, because in a number of years from now, we know we have Google working on cars that drive themselves. So technology, I think, is going to play a big part in how we plan transportation in the next 10, 15, 20 years. Particularly as well, for example, parkades. Building parkades is not a cheap exercise, and they take up large amounts of land.
Prime real estate downtown.
Absolutely, prime real estate downtown or in whatever town center that they may be located. So imagine if cars start driving themselves, you wouldn't necessarily need to plan a parkade in a downtown per se. You could instruct that car to drop you off at your destination then either go home,
come back and
go
pick you up
park
again.
at a parkade on the outskirts of town, or better yet, go pick up somebody else and drive them to their destination. So now not everybody has to own one car. So maybe 3 or 4 families share a car, because once that car drops somebody off, you can instruct it to go pick up the next family or how, I mean, we're getting, who knows where this is going to go. All I'm trying to point out is that technology is going to play a big part of how transportation evolves around the world in the next 10, 15 years. And so we have to be cognizant of that. But I would love to see some sort of light or light rail or rapid transit along a rail corridor, as well as an active transportation corridor to be able to get people around the Okanagan a lot quicker and in an environmentally sensitive way. So.
All right, we'll take another short break, and then after that, we'll focus on the economy.